hat more for the fun of like the video, but I actually don't look good in hats. I have a really small head, so when I wear hats I kind of look like a little kid. The other thing I should say in this video is I do not have any notes, I don't have any structure, and I'm just kind of going in and chatting. For this video though, I wanted to talk about kind of multiple topics. It is going to be focused on why I picked my career path, kind of the steps into leading into that. If there's anything I talk about that you want more information on, definitely let me know. I don't actually know how many people will care for this video or like it. Multiple people have suggested I do this on my channel, so I figured why not? Worst case, it just doesn't get views. For starters, I went to Texas A&M University for college. I won't get into that too much, but I love A&M, love being an Aggie. Moving forward, there were many reasons why I picked accounting. For starters, I knew that I wanted to pick a path where the absolute most and highest degree I would need is a master's degree. Granted, you can get a PhD in accounting. Most don't. You only need your master's degree in Texas to sit for CPA exams. I'm not sure if this is entirely true, but I've heard that other states don't actually require you to have your master's. Some only require a bachelor's degree. It's either that or now everyone requires a master's, but Texas was one of the first. I don't know because I've only experienced becoming a CPA. Technically, I'm not a CPA yet. I have passed all the exams, but you still need a full year of working under a licensed CPA. I believe I have met all the requirements of being a CPA in terms of like actually working under a CPA for a year. I will reach that in May. Then I apply and they'll check everything, make sure I did it, and then they will issue me my CPA certification. So for legal reasons, I'm actually not a CPA yet, but I have basically done all the steps for it. It's just kind of a waiting game at this point. Anyway, so I went to A&M. I knew I did not want to pursue a degree past master's, so that kind of ruled out any most of the health field. I don't really have an interest in medical things, and I'm very grateful for those who do. You literally keep this world spinning, so thank you. But it just never really piqued my interest. And then when I hear on top of the fact that you're saving lives, you also have to work nights and go to school forever, and just all around I was like, that's not for me. Not for me. Also, no one in my family is in the medical field. I've noticed that's kind of a pattern. If you have someone in the medical field in your family, you usually view yourself more in that role as well, whereas maybe I don't view myself in that role because there are no I don't have any people in the health field in my life that I grew up with and seeing that all the time. Also, another thing is I went into college with 42 hours. Basically, I did all the dual credit I could, and then I passed 3 AP exams. This is not to mean that I'm very smart or anything. Literally anyone can do this path. The reason I say that is I actually took my first 2 AP exams. I did terrible on, very embarrassingly bad. And so that's why I really focused on dual credit, because I was like, okay, AP is not working out. It makes my high school GPA look good, but I'm not getting college credit out of it. So jump shipped on that. And then the only reason I took the 3 my senior year of college was because I had maxed out on dual credit, and also my teachers were saying if we sat for the AP exam, then we didn't have to sit for the final. And so I was just like, whatever, I'll just go ahead and do it. And by some miracle, I barely got credit. For state schools, at least in Texas, you only need to get a 3, and I'm pretty sure I got a 3 on all 3. I barely got the credit, but I got it. So with going into college with so much credit, I actually was going to be done with school in 2.5 years. So I only had 5 semesters. So, which is great because for what I ended up doing, it was actually a 5+1 program. So it was already 5+1 is becoming the norm for masters now, but traditionally masters is 6 years total, 4 for undergrad, 2 for masters. So already the 4+1 appeals to people to take a year, only do 1 extra year of college and have a whole second degree. But because I was lucky enough and went in with all that dual credit, and I just kind of gravitated towards accounting quickly, a lot of my friends were doing the program. I just kind of I knew it was a well-respected program, so I just thought, you know what, I want more time in college than just 2 years. And it worked out to where I could do the program in 4 years. So it was oh, it's kind of cool. I get the full 4-year college experience, but I get to leave, with more degrees. And also the program very much helped you get a job and helped do recruiting events and stuff for you, and internships, like getting internships lined up and job offers. So I actually had a job offer. I had a job offer 3 semesters before I graduated college. Like I already had my job lined up. So all around, it was just a really, really solid program. And that's why I chose to do it. But I do want to say there are definite pros and cons to going in with that much dual credit. If you are someone who hasn't or didn't, like that's nothing to be looked down on, because sometimes it is a little scary to be 18 years old, and because traditionally you get like at least a year to just kind of take your basics and figure out, and maybe take a few like specific courses with majors and find out which one you'd like to do. But when you're 18 and you go in with all this credit and you're just now starting to kind of halfway be an adult, and people are like, okay, declare your major. And then I picked accounting as undergrad, and then 2 semesters later, it's like, okay, well, do you want to pursue a master's? Because if so, you need to apply for that now. And so it was just a lot of big decisions to make at just like a really young age, and it's kind of scary. I'm grateful that I made the right decision, but you could see how easily I could have just picked something that I ended up not wanting to do. I basically had a main group that was the master's program, and you would apply in September, and by December they knew if you got in or not into that master's program. So then they would start their master's classes in January, like that following semester. For me, I wasn't fully on track to do it with them. I think I was like 1 semester behind. There's a certain class you had to take, and you had to at least make a B in it, or you like automatically were cut from application process. So I still had to take that class. So I was taking that class in the spring, but they basically said they had like 30 seats left. And so you could apply in the spring, and of course it was contingent on you passing that course. But you got to go ahead and do the whole interview process and application and all of that. And you would basically get just tagged to the end of the group if you got in. So luckily that I did get into that. I literally went into my final so stressed, not knowing if I'd be able to make the B or not. Ended up being okay, but I was very, very stressed. And just to show in terms of how intense this was, when I applied to the program, I was 19. That's crazy to be applying to a master's program when you're 19. And I actually found out that I got into the program, I think a week after I turned 20. So a week after I found out, they told me, all right, you now need to register for all these classes. And because you're tagged on the summer team, just the summer group had to take all of these classes over the summer to catch up to that main group. And also that whole spring where I'm just trying to get into the program, my friends were doing that were already in the program and got accepted in the fall. They were doing recruiting with the companies. So I basically had a really crazy month where I was doing, I think I had 2 classes in full recruiting, and the 2 classes were AIS, which is accounting information systems, and then income tax. So I would basically do those 2 classes between 8 a.m. to noon. I think that was the time, roughly around there is how long we were in class. Every day, Monday through Friday. And then you would have a lunch break, and then you basically had 3 hours to get the homework done that was needed for those classes. And they weren't easy, it wasn't just quick homework, it was projects and stuff like that, and very tedious assignments. And then after that, we would have recruiting from 5 to 8 or 9 p.m. And then you need to get to sleep at a decent time to get up and be on campus for the 8 a.m. class. So I did get to interview with all the big 4, and then I also interviewed with one middle market firm. And then in terms of recruiting, just in case people are curious, the master's program coordinated to where they literally came to our campus, and we would talk to them in this common area outside of our classroom. So they would come in, do their presentation, and then we would mingle and stuff for a few hours. And some nights we would literally have multiple companies. They're putting their best foot forward, but then you're also wanting them to give you an internship. So at this point, it's more you trying to impress them. But of course they want interns to come work there, but it's a matter of them deciding which of the students there do they want as their interns. One would be there for like an hour and a half, and then we'd get like a 10-minute break, and then another one would come in for another hour and a half. And if you're not a social person, I felt bad for people who weren't social, like, you know, really extrovert and comfortable with social situations or get drained easily, because I was even feeling drained, and I'm a social butterfly. Like, I could literally talk to a wall if I needed to. And then on top of that, so the week of the interviews, pretty sure all my interviews were at least 30 minutes. And like, you need to be like full business professional and have your portfolio and have questions for the company and like be very prepared and ready for the questions they're going to ask you. And they're not asking you like, why do you want to do this? You have to tell them reasons, like basically sell yourself of what you have done in your life that you think prepares you for that job, kind of thing. That was also the week of our midterms in those two classes, which the idea was like you just had a midterm and a final, because I mean the course was only 5 weeks, but it was a lot of information because at that point you've been to 15 classes that were roughly 2 hours long each. So it's like 30 hours of lecture that you need to study for that one test, and obviously you need to pass it or else you're gonna fall right off the track of your master's program. Then from there you would move forward if they invited you to like an invite only event. At this point though, I don't think we had internship offers, but it was basically like the next step. So I am happy to say that of the big four, I advanced in 3 of them. I was ecstatic about. I was just wanting at least one to pick me. I did talk with like a middle market firm, and they also invited me to their invite only. So I actually have some like really crazy stories from recruiting and the events. Then you would go to these invite only events, and then internship offers, I think like right before it or right after, somewhere in there. And then at that point the power kind of shifts to you, because now you know what options you have on the table, and now they're trying to convince you to pick them over the other firms, which got a little crazy. And honestly, I have a lot of stories in just a few weeks of recruiting, like really crazy stuff that happened, which if y'all want a video over that I can share, and I just won't say like the actual company name, because like I said, I was dealing with 5 companies, so I can kind of blur the lines of which one it was if y'all want to hear these stories, because they were crazy. But anyways, classes were supposed to be 5 weeks, but technically they were 4 weeks. Like all the coursework was crammed into 4, and then we got a week break. But then after the break, you had to come back and take your 2 finals, like for each course. And keep in mind, we only had a midterm, so it was like 50% of the exam is still needing to be studied for, and the final makes up like 35 to 40% of your grade. So that was intense. And also that week off was office visits. So you also had to dwindle it down. Like some people weren't. I chose to dwindle it down to just 2 companies at that point, and I contacted the others and just thanked them for the opportunity and that I would be going in a different direction. Which also, those are some crazy stories that happened. Their reactions, which I can, again, if y'all want more detail, I can do that. As well as seeing my friends like turn down companies and the company's reactions to them. Really crazy stuff. So I only did 2 office visits, and that did give me time to kind of, because I knew which ones I just didn't vibe with. So I narrowed it down to the 2 that I really liked, and focused on those office visits as well as studying for my finals. Also, we had our finals. 2 days after the finals is when you had to have your official internship decision sent in and like locked in. So it was a lot to happen within like 8 or 9 days. So there were other people though who were like keeping all of their office visits, and so they would literally be like 1 day at each place. So, like they would have to study at night in the hotel in between like dinners and off. Like for example, when I went to EY, you would basically have an evening dinner. They'd pay for you to stay in a hotel, and then you'd go into the office the next day, and then you'd do some kind of activity. So we like ate at a nice steakhouse. I stayed at a hotel by the office. Then I went into the office for a few hours. Then we went and toured like AT&T Stadium just to like do something fun. And then we were done. But then people who like had a company stacked right after, then they'd have like 2 hours to get to the dinner for a different company, stay in the hotel that company was paying for, visit that company and do that company's event, then go to the next one. So like these people were, I don't know how they did like studying for their finals, but maybe they didn't, I don't know. I decided on my company June of 2019. So then I continued school. I had school in the like the fall semester of 19, and then my internship was actually January to March of 2020, and literally the week after I finished my internship was when like full like lockdown and shutdowns were happening with COVID. Luckily I had locked in the internship before I left Dallas, or sorry, not the internship, the full-time job offer. Like I went ahead and signed and everything, which was great. I had a really great internship experience. I'm really enjoying the company I'm with now. It's the same company. I'm enjoying being full-time. So then I went so that was March of 2020. So then I had to take classes the second half of the semester, just did all of that online. Then I also had to take summer classes in 2020. Then I also took my last full heavy load of grad classes in fall of 2020. Basically, a lot of colleges are starting to do it this way, but I did have some friends who went to other colleges that don't do it like this, but A&M tries to stack it to where, because we take classes so heavily in the summer, that I hit 150 hours December of 2020, which 150 hours is what you need to sit for CPA exams. But actually graduating, like walking the stage, I was at 156 hours. So they had it to where I still took 2 classes spring of 2021. And so that way I was still a student, but I got a CPA semester is what they called it. So I took 2 classes, and honestly it kind of went back and forth on whether they were work heavy or not. Like they weren't entirely easy. We had like a loose schedule of when we should be taking our CPA exams if you wanted to take them all before graduation. And so the professors tried to go off of that schedule. So they would try to make projects like a few weeks after you would take an exam or before an exam to kind of space it out, and then have easier assignments fall around exam time when they know you'd like really be in crunch mode. So I actually did take all 4 of my CPA exams. I passed all but 1 on my first attempt, and you actually need a 75 to pass the state exam, and I made a 74. Let me tell you, I cried for like 3 days. And also like the exams are expensive, so I had to pay for it again. But anyways, so then I took all 4 before I graduated, but like I knew I still had to take 1 more. It wasn't too bad because like I'd already studied the material, so it's just going back and like refreshing. And then I ended up like, I don't even know what I made on it, like almost a 90 or something when I retook it. And I actually took it the day before I moved to Dallas into my apartment here with Taylor. And then I found out that I passed it the night before I started my full-time job. So I at least got to go into my full-time job being like, the exams are done. Now it's just a waiting game of getting that experience under my belt. The exams are hard. They really are. And I'm not saying this to kind of hype myself up. I'm just saying this is like reality for people who are pursuing this path. It's not that it's not manageable. Like you can do it. You just need to be very dedicated and focused on it. It's not even necessarily that it's really difficult material, it's just a lot of material. So it's 4 exams and they're each 4 hours long. I'm not sure when it changed, but at least like a decade or 2, it used to only be 1 large exam that I think was like 8 hours. So you would study everything under the sun for accounting and then take the exams. So now it's broken into, and it was either like pass fail. I think you could still work in it as like passing portions and failing portions, I don't know. But it's been different for a while. For me, there were 4 exams. There was one that was like normal financial accounting. There was the one that was, I think it was taxes and business law. Then there was economics and finance, and then auditing. So a lot of material. And I'm just happy that I only had to retake 1 once. I don't know what I would have done, like if I was just failing all of them right and left. I also was like doing a crazy turnaround. Like for the audit exam, I only studied for like 2.5 weeks. So I was really pushing my luck. So I'm just glad I like got it taken care of. I can move on from it. But yeah, it's a lot. You definitely are studying like at least 30 to 40 hours a week if you're doing it quickly. Obviously less if you have more time to study and you are taking like maybe 2 months to study for an exam. I think the longest I took to study for an exam was 5 weeks, and then the shortest was 2.5 weeks, and then the other 2 were like 3 and 4 weeks. So that's why I was studying like a crazy person, because kind of had to. But the good thing about getting set up with a company is they paid for all my study material with Becker. which is like a software that basically guides you through studying for the exam. And then they also reimbursed me once I passed the exams. And then I also got a bonus for passing all the exams. And they basically have tiers. So like if you pass the exam within your first year working with the company, I think you get, it was $5,000. And then if you pass it within like, if it takes you 2 years, then I think you still get like $3,000. So it's not a bad deal, and it's really nice when everything does get reimbursed. I mean, I only got reimbursed the 4 exams I passed. Like the one I failed, I like, oh my gosh, what is up with this? But I definitely had to pay for that one, but like can't complain given everything else they paid for. So yeah, it's really it's a difficult exam. I'm pretty sure the national passing rate for it is like 42%. But another reason why I just had a lot of confidence, at least in the education I got at A&M, is because A&M's passing rate of it, like first attempt passing it, was at 83 or 84%. So although I was nervous and I knew it was really hard and it was going to take a lot of work, I had confidence that at least the input was there, the quality of education I got is there, the coaching through Becker, like it's there. I just had to personally decide to put the effort in to make it happen, and that does feel a lot better. So yeah, and now I'm working for EY, which is where I interned. I can't say my client, but I do really like my client. You also can have like multiple clients and like rotate throughout the year. So, but the one I'm on right now, I really, really like. I love my team. I feel like I'm learning a ton, which is really exciting. I don't know how it's always like you look back and you're like, how did I pass a CPA exam before this? Or when I was an intern, I was like, how did I even pass an auditing exam before this internship? Like I knew nothing compared to what I know now. So just always progressing. There's times I'm very confused and still learning, but it's like a good kind of confusion. Like it's really like testing my knowledge, and I'm just seeing a lot, and it's really great. So I can answer way more questions if you want about that. I'm actually currently in busy season, so it was kind of a stretch to even find time to sit down to film this video, which explains my appearance, because I don't have time for anything more than mascara right now. Oh, sorry, I kicked that. But yeah, that's it for this video. There's definitely more I can talk about. If you're interested, like I can talk about more of those stories that happened with recruiting, things that made me want to choose the firm I chose, and things that really made me like turn away running from other firms, the benefits of Big Four and like doing Big Four accounting. I can't speak too much on that because I don't have experience in middle market, but I can at least tell you the pros and cons of Big Four, because there's definite pros and cons. You definitely give up certain things by taking that route. I can do a different video on that. I can do more in depth about CPA exams and applying and how I personally studied for it. I can also talk more about the master's program, recruiting, what it's like being a staff one, my first busy season, expectations versus reality, how much I work. Signed my internship, I was making I think it was like $29-30 an hour, and then I was working overtime, so I was sitting at about $45 overtime, and I was roughly working busy season 60 to 65 hours a week. So it was nice. And then they also had put a signing bonus on the internship. I think was $3,000. I think I got a $3,000 signing bonus, so that was on my first paycheck when I joined the firm as an intern. I did not get a signing bonus for full-time, which is interesting, but I got the CPA bonus, so which was more. So can't complain, really can't. But yeah, I have lots more to share and talk about if you guys really want to dive into that, but if it bores you and you have no interest, I can respect that too. So not everyone's as passionate about your career as you are yourself, but if anyone is curious about what I'm up to or any more information, please let me know. Alright guys, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I also hope you like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.
Another 5 minutes, and I can't deny the possibility anymore, so I checked the parking lot for his car, and he was gone. Stupid me thought maybe he went to go get gas. So I texted again, "Where'd you go?" No reply. I called twice, and both calls rang once and went straight to voicemail. And yep, there it is. Then he blocked me. She's on her way to pick me up. Oh my gosh, this girl's writing this in the coffee house. I was often told I'm cute, but I'm questioning that now. That sucks. I would assume has nothing to do with her looks. Like, I'm sure she is cute. Because, like, you know, that's the main thing you see of someone on a dating app. Like, if he didn't think she was cute, probably wouldn't be on the date in the first place. But it sounds like this guy just sucks.